Hey guys, okay, what's up? I'm back in Grenada. It's my first video of my second year of vet school, so it's my third semester here, term 3. If any of you are coming to SGU because they go on terms down here and not by year. So this video is gonna be like the application process and applying to vet school, which I was asked to do. So I'm not only gonna do specific to SGU, I'm gonna kind of just do like a general applying to vet school, no matter where you go. Sorry, Toulouse just scared me. I think he's coming out of his little tunnel. Are you coming, Poops? So this is his newest Christmas gift. And I thought, shift. Oh, there you are. There you are. You like your tunnel? You like your tunnel? Okay. I'll leave you alone. That's his new tunnel. Speaking of Toulouse, be sure to check out my Instagram and Toulouse's Instagram. He has an Instagram too. It's called That Cat Toulouse. Well, That Cat _ Toulouse. Because if you know anything, all of my social media handles have that something. My Instagram is ThatVetBK. You should check it out. See Toulouse, see anything that pertains to like my journey to being a veterinarian. So I'll have the time cards below because I'm gonna try to split this up into like 3 different things. I'm gonna do like applying or like what you should do before applying, the application process, and then if you want to come to SGU, St. George's University, I'll have some information on that. And so those 3 time cards will be split up below in the comments. So check that out. Okay, so first, applying to vet school. So I've had people message me that are currently in high school and undergrad, and even people who are after undergrad who are just looking to get into vet school, and I just, have questions, usually about SGU, but I've had a few that just want to know about vet school in general. So I'm gonna start. So high school, you gotta start your worth ethic somewhere. So, but don't, if your high school GPA is not all that, high school won't matter by the time you're applying here, trust me. But I mean, I would recommend doing well in high school, because then you can get into a good 4-year university of choice, and it's not like you're just trying to pick up the slack. I'm also on this Facebook page called the American Pre-Veterinary Medical Association. It's like APVMA. You can look that up. It's open to anyone. And there are literally people I've seen ask, do vet schools look down on you if you went to a community college or not a huge reputable college? And I can't tell you that because I'm not on the admissions board, but I would like to say no. It's not so much of where you went or what your major was, so much of how you did in the classes that are gonna need you to get here. All of my undergrad schools, me personally, and again, you don't have to do this, were schools that had vet schools because I wanted to major in animal sciences because I feel like it just gives you a boost. A lot of times they would require animal nutrition, animal reproduction, just general animal sciences. And so UGA being Georgia's agricultural and mechanical school, we had a huge animal science department. We had the poultry science department. I just went the poultry route instead of the animal science, which is more like beef and swine route. It's definitely a help, and all of the schools I applied to had some type of animal sciences. I applied to Auburn, LSU, Cornell, University of Florida, Texas A&M, The Ohio State, things like that. And so yeah, I still ended up at UGA. What I'm trying to say is high school, it's just the first steps, is getting your footing. But I mean, you could have been a horrible high school student. You can get to undergrad and college and get your life together, get a master's, not get a master's. My point is you get your life together and you get on the right path, whether you're trying to be a vet, a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, any higher level degree, or even a successful business person. So my point is, it's just you just have to have your stuff. But once you're an undergrad, that's where everything starts to work, or starts to matter. You're not gonna really care so much about, your English and your social sciences and multicultural language classes. What matters is all the science classes that every vet school out there has on their requirements. So that's the things you wanna put in the most work and make sure you're doing the best in. There's a whole list of all the schools and what each school requires, because there's some things that every school is gonna require. You have to take 2 classes, which is 8 hours of gen chem, 8 hours of bio, 8 hours of physics, 8 hours of organic chemistry, biochemistry, microbiology, stuff like that. But then most schools require genetics. But then other than that, it gets in kind of to certain schools. One school might want you to have microbiology with the lab. Some schools might not. Some schools might Usually you have to take calculus or statistics, but there might be one out there that requires both. So it's just things like that you like really need to take into consideration. Some schools require nutrition, some require physiology, and so stuff like that. Like if you were set on a certain school, I would definitely recommend like making sure that you have all of those requirements. And because if your school doesn't, you're gonna have to sign or find a school. I'm trying to like, it's an S word that I'm trying to think of, and I really can't think of a seek, that is the word. Seek out a school that does, and if it's not nearby, you might have to look for an online university to do it. Another thing is that yes, your GPA does matter. It matters a lot, and there are some schools that won't even consider your application if you're not at a certain point. That point usually being a 3.0. I can talk because I did not have a 3.0 when I applied to vet school. And I got waitlisted for Virginia, Maryland, waitlisted for an interview. So it wasn't even like I got denied, which I was very surprised. I got waitlisted for an interview. So every other school I applied to in the States, I got denied from, and I got into Ross University and St. George's University. But I believe my saving grace from not getting denied completely from everywhere was my GRE score, which you will have to consider that. Usually, and what my undergrad advisor told me is that you want at least a 300 range, and apparently people struggle to meet the 300 range. I hit the 300 range right off the bat. I took it twice, only moved up twice, 2 points. But when you look up like vet school averages, a lot of people are making like at least 310 or higher. For any of you who may not know what the GRE is, it's basically like a complicated SAT or like a college level SAT. You have your verbal or reading section, you have your math section, and then you have a writing or essay section. So it's not like the MCAT or the LSAT or anything, although they used to have a VCAT, but and they supposedly thought about bringing that back. But yeah, right now you just take the GRE, which is the getting into like any master's or like graduate level school. That's what you have to take. And then the only other thing that you have to consider is your work experience or volunteer experience. Colleges want to see a variety, and that was another thing. Me being from Atlanta, granted, Georgia is the country. Don't get me wrong. It's country out here in these parts. Well, not these parts because I'm in Grenada, but in those parts back home where I'm from. But in the city, people don't have horses and cows, so you have to drive out a little bit. So all of my experience always was with small animals. I worked in small animal clinics that saw more than just dogs and cats, but ultimately, like, I didn't know anything about a horse or a cow or a pig, any of that. When I got into St. George's University, they required me to get 200 additional hours of large animal experience, and luckily I found a large animal vet, which I also have a video on my page where I did like a whole day with her, and I still continue to volunteer with a large animal vet to just get experience. And so colleges want to see that, and that's one thing, like, even when I did have apply, they asked like, was it only small animal? And then also during research, doing anything else. The thing is, when you put in your hours, they're going to ask, were these hours under a vet or not under a vet? So there's a whole section for hours not under a vet, which, like, for me, I did part-time kennel shift at a dog hotel when I had a full-time job at a vet clinic. I don't know why I did this, but that went under non-vet experience because it's still with an animal, versus then they're also going to ask you with somebody. Also, any type of externships, internships. I was a poultry science major at UGA, so I even put all the chicken experience I had from the University of Georgia. Your application is not only your grades, and therefore it's not only your major. So I mean, honestly, you could be a music major, but as long as you take all those sciences and prereqs, like, it's not gonna matter what degree you had in undergrad. Like I said, I started off as a poultry science major at UGA, was changed to avian biology, and ultimately at the end of the semester changed to biological sciences. And that was just because of literally one credit one class I did not take in the fall that was only offered in the fall. So if I wanted to graduate in 3 years, in May 2018, I had to change my degree to biological sciences so that this one poultry class wasn't required. And I was okay with that. They understood and everything. And so that's the thing, like, you know, these people in the interviews aren't out to get you. They just want to understand, and they want to know more about you. So when I interviewed, you know, they're gonna ask, like, you know, hey, what happened with this C? Was it a bad semester? Like, was something else going on? Because I feel like they really just want to know you. Like, were you a good student who tried your hardest, or were you just like goofing off and drunk every night so you couldn't show up to class and you failed? So yeah, I'd say, you know, undergrad is like where it counts. And then if you're considering, like, you know, you did graduate you know, and your GPA is low, kind of like I did, and you didn't apply, you know, out the country or something, or you applied to, you know, like you only like, you know, want to go to UC Davis or Cornell or Colorado, where those are like the top 3 vet schools in the country and they have super high, you know, standards, I would say definitely retake the classes. Preferably, again, like at an accredited university, not like a little small community college. And also just try to get more experience and even go back for another degree. Some people do that, but I've heard mixed reviews from that. Some people say that like going to get their master's didn't really do anything to their GPA, it just added a degree. But to some people, on the other hand, by showing that you still went on to like seek out higher, or you sought out higher education, then, you know, again, push your step up. Onwards to the application process itself. So you apply through a website called VMCAS, and on there it's the online portal. You can apply to pretty much any vet school in the state. I think Texas A&M is one of the only exceptions, because Texas, the entire state, has its own website for like their vet, medical, dental, pharmacy, every type of healthcare field. You have to apply to that website. And it also has a few out of the country schools. Like I applied to Ross and St. George's on that website. And so basically there's like $100 just like fee just to use it. And then for every additional school, it's about $100. So just look at it that way. It might be a little bit off, might be like 120, 110 or 90 per school. But so you'll do that. And then certain schools also have a supplemental application, which has to be paid directly to the school. And it's a separate application, which those can range anywhere from like $40 to another $100. So applying to schools is a lot. I applied to 7 and I only got into 2. So I paid almost $800, $900 in applications. So that's something to consider. And again, everyone doesn't have that type of money. My parents and family helped me, you know, through school, and they helped me pay this kind of stuff. But I know some people it might be one of those, like, I'm only applying to 1 or 2. You still have to use this website, by the way. And so on there, you'll just fill out all your information, all your experience, yada, yada, yada. That website also has a lot of other information, such as tuition, like tuition prices, you know, where it's located, how many seats there are, again, like the prereqs that they require. And so the year before I started applying, I just was on that website. I just wanted to read everything, because you never know, like every vet school offers the same thing. The certification test that we have to take, the NAVLE, is the same. And so every school that you're going to, in essence, unless you're just trying to stay close to home or get in-state tuition, you're going to be learning the same thing. So I used to want to do zoo medicine, and I see a lot of people who still do. And people ask, what school is it best for me to go pursue a zoo vet education? Well, zoo vet medicine is not like in the curriculum. Like, yes, you'll do some exotics. Sorry, there's like a mosquito flying in my house. Yes, you'll do some exotics and everything, but you're still learning the dog, the cat, the horse, the cow, the goat, the sheep, the chicken, the pig. You know, that is not a mosquito. I don't know what that is. Oh my God. Where's Toulouse when I need him? But so you're not, you know, it's like one of those things. Vet medicine is like, once you're in your clinicals in your last year, you can do externships at a zoo, and then once you're out, you can do an internship or residency. But, you know, I feel like some schools might have a better partnership with the zoo that's closer by and stuff, or they're known for like having good zoo externships. But I wouldn't say like put all your apples in a basket because of what you'll be doing in your last year, because you can do those same things once you're out of school. But anyway, so like you'll apply on VMCAS, and then the schools will like reach out to you through there. But if you don't submit everything through VMCAS, like your application is not valid. You have to do your GRE. You have to send your GRE scores to the school, all that jazz. And it's not as stressful as it seems. Like, I just say it's a lot of paperwork. There's essays on there, very short essays, but I would say like don't wait till the last minute. The application opens in April and it closes in September. So you have summer if you're in school or you work and everything. You'll have a break, but I definitely wouldn't say like start in mid-August. And if you are able to look at multiple schools, I'd say, you know, just give it a go. I was born and raised in Georgia. I went to UGA for undergrad, and I thought I wanted to go to UGA for vet school, and it's always kind of been on my back burner, but as I was at UGA, I wanted to go away. And that's why I'm here at St. George's, which leads me into my next part of my video. If you're interested in coming to SGU and or Ross, and the only reason I talk about Ross is because I really gave Ross a lot of consideration, and Ross was actually my number one before I came to visit both schools. They are both on VMCAS. They both have rolling applications. SGU has a fall and a spring class. Ross has a fall, spring, and summer class. The only difference is with these two is that Ross goes to school in the summer. And because of that, they go to school year round. In essence, what they will try to sell you on is that you finish in 3 years and 4 months, which in my opinion is okay, like 8 months difference. But Ross also has a higher tuition, and because of the summer semester, you end up in a total of 10 semesters in school instead of 9 semesters like the typical university, even in America. So I was just like, I finished early, but I'll be in way more debt and I don't get breaks. And for me, like, yes, trust me, since I was a wee little Brittany, I wanted to be a vet. But the money that vets make are not what human physicians make, and I don't want to be in debt the rest of my life. And as much as I want it, it's one of those things, like, I know I'm in vet school, and whether I finish in 3 years and 4 months or 4 years, like, I'll still be doing whatever I want to do for the rest of my life. And also, I need breaks. Like, I don't want to burn out. I don't want to burn out and fail and cause myself to be in school longer than 4 years already, considering that I had to do the foundations program, which was a great thing. If any of you get into SGU, I have another video about that that you can check out on my page. But besides the point, that was a thing. Ross gets about 2 to 3 week breaks, while SGU, you have your traditional summer and winter break, your first 3 years. Your last clinical year, of course, you go all the way through the whole year. But yeah, breaks. Applying to Ross or SGU or even schools outside of the country, they are on VMCAS, but they also had their own application on their own individual website, like especially if you're not applying to the fall class, so they're always accessible. And so again, if you're trying to move internationally like I did, really do your research. If you watch any of my super old videos when I first started, you'll see where I personally complain about some of the students that I go to school with. They hate it here. There are some people who hate it here. They are here only because this is the only place they could get into. This is where they ended up. And to me, like, yes, I know my grades weren't the best, and I feel like SGU gave me that chance, but I also love this island. I was watching one of my old videos, and someone said that it seems like when I say I love it, I'm trying to convince myself, but I really like it here. It's just like a sense of happiness, like when I touch down. Like, literally, I got in like 3 days ago from making this video, and there were people on the plane complaining about how they were dreading to come back. And I heard someone say, like, I think we all are. And I wanted to be like, not me. But I was a few rows in front of them. And so if you're moving anywhere, even if it's out the state, I'd say really consider where you're going. And if that's the step you want to make, because yeah, studying abroad seems fun, but it's different when you're going to be there for 3 years as opposed to like a semester or a few weeks or a month. It's very different because it's a different way of life. You're moving into a new culture. And so yeah, FAFSA was accepted here, so that does help because of course, like SGU and Ross are US schools, so FAFSA covers them. But if you were going somewhere like, I know Mexico is University of Mexico City, I think that's the name of it, they're on VMCAS, or like the ones in the UK or Australia, those are not American schools. They're credited in the US because we can do our clinicals at some of these places, or the ones in Canada, but they're not US schools, so I'm pretty sure you'd have to have private loans. So just consider that. I would say it's becoming more of a thing for people to go out the country, so definitely consider it. Like, don't be closed-minded. Like, yes, the States are always good, and there's a lot of people from previous generations who, like, you know, they look at the Caribbean schools as places that people go and they can't get into the States because they used to not be accredited. And so then when you came back to the States, you had to take a whole different license test and certification test. But it's not like that anymore, and a lot of people are actually starting to come here by choice. And so I'd say, like, consider it. Like, you're by a beach every day. Like, sure, like, it's hot, so hot, but I feel like it just gives me a new lookout on life. I'm so thankful for like all the friends and like followers I've made from this YouTube, like even Grenadians and stuff. And so I'm pretty sure it would be the same, like whether I was at Ross and St. Kitts, or whether I had gone to Canada or Australia, like, because I still would have probably made this YouTube channel. And so I think it's like a great thing, and you should really consider it. Yeah, the US schools are great, and I wouldn't, you know, diss them. You know, they're just as good, and once we all graduate, you're still colleagues. So anyways, I think I'm gonna end this video here. I know I talk a lot, and I can continue to talk and find small little minuscule details, but if you have any questions, feel free to follow my Instagram that I listed in the beginning. It's ThatVetBK. Be sure to message me on Facebook if you have any questions, not to slide in my DMs. Okay. Anyways, yeah, hope that if you're pursuing a career in veterinary medicine that you keep at it. If you're in high school, be sure to, you know, keep up the good work, apply to a college, do good, bust it out the water. It's gonna be hard. OChem's gonna kick your butt. And maybe physics and biochem and genetics, but OChem, my God, I hated that class. And if you're an undergrad, also keep up the good work, keep pushing, because you're like almost there. And yeah, so be sure to like, subscribe, share, message me with any questions, and until next time.